Thanksgiving goes in favor of the Dallas Cowboys here in 2022. They defeat the New York Giants, their first Thanksgiving Day win since 2018, and they take over second place in the NFC East as we welcome you in to Special Edition. Hope everybody had a fun, safe holiday full of family, football, and it was definitely full of a Cowboys win, 28-20 over the New York Giants. Here with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans, ready to break it down for you. Gentlemen, what impressed you the most with the Cowboys win over the Giants? Because it was another one of those that looked like the blueprint that Dallas has won 8 games with now here in 2022.
I think it's just learn from their mistakes. I think it was the bounce back. Obviously, they went out there, had a couple turnovers early on, and then they were able to bounce back in the second half and totally redeem themselves and go out there and ensure that they got the W.
To me, it's the use of these tight ends. I mean, the use of, Ferguson, Hendershot, Schultz, he's going to be that security blanket. All these guys are producing for this offense, and it's making them that much better as an offense going on for the rest of the regular season.
Just to see Zeke come back and do what he did with 92 yards, man, just continue to press on and be the great teammate that he is. And, man, the way this defense is playing held us in the game the first half.
Well, Isaiah brought it up, overcoming some adversity early on. Dak Prescott threw 2 first-half interceptions. The Cowboys had just 7 points at the halftime break, so they had to overcome a little bit in the passing game, but kind of like how Barry just said, you got everybody involved. The tight ends were involved. The running backs were involved. Nate, when you looked at what the offense was able to do, is this something they could sustain through the back half of the season?
You said it. I believe it is the blueprint, man, especially when they control time possession and they have 47% or more on third downs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Nate. I mean, these guys are able to bounce back, but how they're doing it, it lives a positive outlook in terms of their ability to be able to handle these situations going forward. And hopefully, if they continue to watch this film and learn from it, they won't have to overcome anything going forward as well.
Yeah, if they stick to that formula, leaning on that ground game. We saw Elliott, we saw Pollard, what they were able to do. I think 169 yards on the ground. He's able to become a much better play-action quarterback while doing that. If they stick with that formula, the sky's the limit for this offense.
You talked about the running game. It wasn't as efficient as it showed, or it seemed like it would be the last couple of weeks. Tony Pollard did not get up over 100 yards from scrimmage. But, Barry, how tough is it knowing that there are 2 guys, now Ezekiel Elliott back and healthy, ready to go, that can pound you for 92 yards on the ground?
As a defense, that's your worst nightmare. When you see Ezekiel Elliott getting it going like that, he tenderizes the defense through the first 3 quarters. And then when that 4th quarter comes around, Pollard's going to bust you for a big one, or that defense is just going to wave the white flag, screaming no mas. They want no more of this ground game. It's proving to be the strength of this offense, and I hope they stick to it.
I think, Ezekiel Elliott is doing a heck of a job, and that 2-headed monster is an absolute beast. We talk about their ability to have, Zeke coming down here on TP with the change of pace. TP had his shine the last few weeks, and now Zeke's back, and he's handling his business. I know Skip Pete, the Brendan Bass coach, is simply happy as all get out right now.
You saw that option run right there, man, and now even Dak is a threat to run the ball. He does it very instinctively. I don't think they called anything for him, but he gets those extra first downs now to get him time possession.
Even Peyton Hendershot is a threat to run the football now on this offense. He had a 2-yard touchdown run that resulted in the best celebration I've ever seen in a football game all time. My favorite all time. It was whack-a-mole with the tight ends. It was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, just look it up on Twitter, on Instagram. You'll find it somewhere. When we come back, though, somebody else that's been trending on Twitter, and that's Micah Parsons. Another multi-sack game. This Dallas defense got after Daniel Jones in the second half. We talk about them when we come back.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Reliant, an NRG company. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond.
3 more sacks for the Dallas defense in their 28-20 win over the New York Giants on Thanksgiving Day. That's that defensive unit now up to 45 sacks on the season. They were one of only 2 units to ever do that through their first 11 games, the 2022 Dallas Cowboys and the 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars. Barry Church was on that defense, and you had a sack to add to that
I contributed
total,
just
right?
one. Just one, but I was a part of it, though.
You were definitely a part of it. Names on the list. Micah Parsons, he's contributed 12 this season, joining just Reggie White and Aldon Smith as the only 3 players in NFL history to have 12-plus sacks in their first 2 NFL seasons. It's been so impressive to see his consistency and, of course, his production in his first 2 NFL seasons. But what's impressed you the most about Micah Parsons?
I love his will and his determination. Micah Parsons is just exactly what he calls himself, a lion. This dude just wants to simply go out there and eat. He doesn't care where he eats at, whether it's on the left side of the dinner table or whether the right side of the dinner table. He doesn't care if you put him in the back end or in the second level. He's going to come over there on the center, over the center. He's going to come over the guard. He just wants to have an impact and make plays. His will and his tenacity is going to continue to rub off for his teammates, and they're going to continue to make plays together.
Yeah, we all understand the talent that this guy brings. Like you said, Isaiah, we can put him all over the field, and I'm sure he'll be the best at that position. But what I love about this guy, one, is his hard work. You never see this guy's motor stop out there. Whether he's blocked, double teamed, he finds a way to get to the ball carrier, to get to the quarterback. And also, he's creating so many one-on-ones for the rest of his teammates out there. He's making them step up to his level out there, and is making this defense better as a whole. This guy is a pure grown man out there, and he is doing his thing for this Dallas Cowboys defense.
He's relentless. He's got speed. He uses the arm bar. He rips under. He uses power. He turns it into speed. This guy, like you guys say, he is relentless, man. And I've never seen a guy, believe me, I've seen the best, close the way he does on the quarterback. Quarterbacks are shocked the first time he puts his body on top of theirs. I mean, he is a punishing guy.
He certainly can close that gap. Now, Barry, you talked about how he's elevating the teammates around him and getting opportunities for guys like Dorrance Armstrong, who's up to 8 sacks on the season. But who has stuck out and who has kind of come from under the radar to impress you this season?
Oh, that's one of the guys that he kind of put under his wing. That's Sam Williams, the young rookie out of North Carolina, I believe, or Ole Miss, I believe. He came through, and he's making plays as a young rookie out there. He's taken that Micah Parsons approach to the game, very coachable, great motor off the edge. We've seen a couple games where he had multiple tackles for loss. He's in the sack column. This guy has had a bright future ahead of him, and he will only grow as the season progresses.
I like that pick, but I'm going to rock with Dorrance Armstrong. He showed you last year how versatile he is, how consistent he is, and just how much of an impact he had over the entire team, special teams and defense. And then they gave him the payoff, right? The big paycheck. And a lot of times we've seen that where a lot of guys kind of fall off once they've gotten that check. Well, he's actually turned it up. So he's coming out this year. He's continuing to make plays in special teams, and he's doing so much more defensively and getting back there and having an effect on the quarterbacks.
And I'm agreeing with you with Dorrance Armstrong, man. I like this guy. Was a 4th-round pick, I think, coming out of Kansas, man. Two-gapper. They made him a two-gapper. He was an edge rusher, up the field guy. Now he is back that guy. Dan Quinn, along with Parsons, has given this guy fire.
Now, Barry, real quickly here, I want to get your opinion on Trayvon Diggs. This is probably the 3rd straight game where teams haven't even gone his direction. They've stopped throwing that way because he's clamped down not only the Packers 2 weeks ago and the Minnesota Vikings last week, but he did so again against the Giants today. How much has he grown over these last couple of weeks?
It's night and day. I believe he's become a complete corner out there. You know, last year he had a lot of the interceptions out there, but he also gave up a lot of yards. This year he's not giving up any yards, and his technique is phenomenal. I give a lot of credit to Al Harris. He's been out there coaching them one-on-one throughout the offseason. He's taken all that coaching and brought it to the field. This guy, to me, is one of the top 3 corners in the National Football League.
He had allowed just 29 yards heading into this week and then barely even had a target his direction against the New York Giants. So Trayvon Diggs continuing to level up in year number 3 in the NFL. When we come back, Isaiah, stand back, we get to the film room. We get to look at how the Cowboys came out on top and overcame some early mistakes against the Giants on Thanksgiving.
This segment was brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond. This segment is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
One of the positives of the Cowboys playing on Thursday is now we've had a couple days to break down the film and get things ready for you to understand what the Cowboys can do moving forward. Back here with Super Bowl champion Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans for Special Edition. Let's look back at the Thanksgiving win, 28-20 over the Giants. And there were a couple mistakes early on, but Dak Prescott found a way to really erase those with some of the latter play in that win.
Yeah, he's still having a few mistakes here and there, a couple misreads in terms of coverages. But the good thing is, like you mentioned, he's bouncing back. You saw what happened in the second half. He was able to correct those mistakes, come back and hit you back-to-back times with touchdowns. Let's show you how he made the mistake first, okay? So one of the first things I want you guys to look at is going to be right here, CeeDee Lamb. But not only I want you looking at CeeDee Lamb, I also want you looking at these coverages, okay? So right here we have what we call two-man coverage, okay? You're going to have cover two on the outside, all right, two high safeties, and then on the inside what you're going to have is man-to-man. So you guys have man-to-man here, man-to-man here, and what they're trying to do is sit on the inside hip of all these receivers. They just want to sit low, these men here, okay? And what they're trying to do is force you to throw the ball up top so that these safeties can help out, and it's kind of like baiting you in there. So Richard, right here, Dak Prescott fails to recognize that it's two-man. Right off the bat, boom, pause it right here. Here goes all the guys I'm telling you guys about. You see how everybody's sitting on the inside hip, sitting down low, man-to-man, man-to-man. They're sitting here because they want these safeties to have an opportunity now to go ahead and make a big play. Dak Prescott, unfortunately, decides to throw the ball right here over the top. As soon as that happens, the ball is thrown underneath. Now, pause it right there. He is literally in a triangle. Boom, boom, boom. The ball has to be thrown perfectly. It's not thrown perfectly, exactly what the New York Giants wanted, and because of that, it turns into a tipped and overthrows, and on defense, they always say, got to get those.
Now, one of the things for Dak Prescott recently has been bad reads or poor reads that he's had to kind of work toward. It's resulted in some interceptions in the past, but how did he make good reads later in the game that kind of took that mistake and covered it up?
Yeah, well, right here, unfortunately, this was their coverage they ran all day long. We just talked about this two high safety, right? So, boom, two high here, and then we have man coverage underneath. These guys are playing man, 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 okay, boom. You guys see all these guys are matched up, but instead of going over the middle like we did last time, all right, he's not going with the man coming over the middle. This time he is going with the corner route, right? So we have a flat route coming out here, and we have a corner going out here. Now, when you run this corner route, you have all the space in the world because you have this entire corner of the end zone. That's exactly where Dak Prescott goes this time around. Let's go ahead and push the play button. He sees the two highest safeties, pause it right here. As soon as he sees these guys go out here, boom, we have the flat route coming out. Who has to guard him? Well, this corner now has to go here. And now that gives the leverage, that all the leverage we need for Mr. Schultz to line this man up, take it over here to the corner route, right to that corner that we were talking about, so that he can dump the ball right in the hole. Boom, here goes the ball by Dak Prescott, has the time, drops it in the bucket. Great play by Dalton Schultz.
Now, I want to replay this back a little bit here because I have a question on the second corner that's not covering Dak Prescott. Stop it right here. This corner right here.
Yep.
We saw an interception not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, where Dalton Schultz was trying to run to the middle of the field and a corner knocked him off of his route.
Yep.
Why did that not happen here, and how did Dalton Schultz avoid that to be open and have that clean release?
Yeah, let's run it back just to the right to the start where these guys were lined up. Right off the bat, these guys up front, they know that they have one man on, right? And now it just depends on what man is going to get the first release. Being that Dalton Schultz is on the line of scrimmage, the man that has him is this safety. Boom. Okay, so he is sitting off the ball. They are locking up man-to-man coverage. So right off alignment alone, and based upon the type of guys that are guarding you, you know that this man right here now is responsible for Tony Pollard, who's now going out to the flat. So that Dalton Schultz, as he takes his release, he knows that all he has to do is avoid that guy, and now he's going to be able to have the leverage to be able to run this corner route with a defensive back who's already sitting inside.
So just basically the corner didn't want to get behind Tony Pollard.
Yeah, exactly.
Dalton Schultz didn't want to get upended by him either, and it results in a touchdown for the Cowboys. But that wasn't Dalton Schultz's only touchdown. How did he make an impact underneath as well?
Well, man, here they go again. Okay, going man-to-man coverage. Everybody's lined up. Okay, you got the safety that's going to be coming here. All right, we have the man that's here, and then we're coming right off the edge with this defensive back. Okay, now what happens is Dalton Schultz does a great job of working his way down the line of scrimmage, selling the play action, and then coming out flat again on the leverage right here. So boom, let's go ahead and push the play button. He does a good job here, selling it, right here, pause it right there. Right off alignment alone, he already has outside leverage. So he can easily run this flat route. CeeDee Lamb has his man, size him up, and we should have an easy touchdown right here, just like it turns out in the game.
Yeah, certainly something that worked out for the Cowboys. They connect there. Touchdown Dalton Schultz, touchdown Cowboys, and they come out on top 28-20. Isaiah Stanback breaking it down for you. When we come back, we break down a cool encounter for the Cowboys this past week and the U.S. men's national team, of course, playing in the World Cup as we speak.
This segment was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
Time is running out to register for one-day football and dance academy camps at AT&T Stadium on December 20th and 21st. Use the code XMAS25 to get $25 off when you register by December 2nd at dallascowboys.com/academy. It's pretty fitting, academy and camps, and there's a ton of that up in the North Texas area for soccer. And of course, the U.S. men's national team up overseas playing in Qatar as a part of the 2022 Men's FIFA World Cup. And a couple of them stopped by the Star to say hi to your Dallas Cowboys.
What's up, dude? What's going on, man? Walker.
Zeke, nice to meet you.
So I just want to talk to you guys about the other side of football. What do you know about the Dallas Cowboys, and how excited are you guys to be out here today?
Yeah, I mean, we have a national team fantasy football league, so I think we're pretty familiar with a lot of the guys here. So it's fun to meet some of those high point leaders and talk to them a little bit and just watch them hone in on their craft, because they're the highest level in their sport, and that's kind of what we're striving to be as well in ours. So great coming out here, and appreciate them having us out.
No, for me it was awesome. It was awesome meeting the guys. Obviously you see them on TV and doing big plays, and so to be able to see them in person, it was awesome.
What's something maybe that you learned from this type of football that you can apply to soccer?
I think just to be aggressive. Obviously soccer might be a little bit different, but always to be aggressive, going into tackles and going into plays, that might help you.
I think for me, it's the preparation. I think talking to some of the NFL players in the past, it's how much time they spend on the playbook and in the film room. And for us, like, that's really important. But the attention to detail is so specific in football that I think we can learn a lot from that on the soccer field.
And then on the flip side of that, you guys have the World Cup coming up. Hopefully we get a Super Bowl this year. What's some advice you would give the Cowboys from your perspective? We'll start with you, Walker.
Yeah, I think honestly trusting in yourself and your identity. They obviously have a great history here with the Dallas Cowboys, and are always expected to be in the playoffs. And so once they get there, that's the first goal. And then it's similar to us in the World Cup. Get out of the group, and so for them it's get into the playoffs, and then it becomes single elimination, and it's anything can happen. And so it's for them just focusing one game at a time once they're in the playoffs, and hopefully they'll come out on top.
Yeah, no, just like Walker said, take one game at a time. Focus on each game, and each team is going to bring something different, and so just focusing on the team that they have in front and moving on.
Go Cowboys!
Be sure to keep an eye on the Men's World Cup in Qatar on Fox all month long. And we've got some football for you to watch this weekend when we come back on Special Edition.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to Special Edition from the Star in Frisco as we wrap things up for you and get you ready for a long week ahead. Nate Newton, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. The Cowboys get the win on Thursday, a Thanksgiving win over the Giants, 28-20. You got your Black Friday shopping out of the way. Your family's now leaving town, but what do you do for the rest of the weekend? Well, there's some football to watch. We're going to give you some games to keep an eye on for Cowboys Nation. Nate, I'm going to start with you. Tell me why the Atlanta Falcons and the Washington Commanders you should keep your eye on.
Because right now everybody in the NFC is in play. I mean, with 7 to 8 games left, you got to be wary of everybody. The Washington Commanders are coming. They got a guy named Hinkie, I think, is at quarterback, and he's doing a great job. And in Atlanta, they're just consistent. They never count them out. So that's the game you should watch.
Well, next one, we'll keep it in the division. Isaiah, the Packers on the road against the Eagles. Can the Packers do to the Eagles what the Packers did to the Cowboys?
No, they cannot, Kyle. The reason why is because Mr. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the weapons on the outside. He has the one young buck that went off against the Dallas Cowboys, but ultimately they need the ground game, and where the ground game is, that is where Philadelphia is strong. These boys went out there and picked up a couple big boys. They have Fletcher Cox, Big Baby Davis is over there. I know he's injured right now, but they also picked up Ndamukong Suh and Linfield Joseph. Those guys are strong on the interior. The Aaron Rodgers and the rest of those boys will not be able to run against them.
And of course the Giants unavailable for a third team in the division, but what about the New Orleans Saints at the San Francisco 49ers? Christian McCaffrey and company trying to keep their win streak alive.
Yeah, this is definitely a game you want to keep your eye on, simply for the 49ers, because this is a possible playoff matchup for the Dallas Cowboys. And we know what the 49ers did to the Cowboys last year. They specifically ran the ball well, and they're running the ball well again this year. They got Christian McCaffrey out there, Deebo Samuel, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well as well in that defense, one of the top defenses in the National Football League. This is a game you definitely want to keep your eye on.
And the Saints are so up and down and back and forth. I mean, they are a roller coaster of emotion throughout the season. I guess that's what happens whenever Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, you don't really know which one is your starting quarterback, and you've got a pretty good defense down there in New Orleans. But a couple games to keep an eye on. Luckily for the Cowboys, low stress the rest of the week because you got the win here in week number 12. They take on the Indianapolis Colts in week 13. We'll be back here on Special Edition to get you ready for that game as well. For Isaiah, Barry, Nate, and our entire crew, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you next week on Special Edition.